Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Pet Sematary, the 2019 version, starring Jason Clarke, Amy Seamitz, forgive me if I said that wrong, John Lithgow, and G.T. Lawrence, directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. Now, I did see the movie only once, and I got my issues with the movie, as well as some of the plot summary of the on IMDb about what this whole movie was supposed to be. And what do I think of it? Let's get into it. Louis Creed, this time played by Jason Clarke, who I'll talk about later in this movie. And I've talked about him before in this movie. And his wife Rachel, played by Amy Seamitz, moved to Ludlow, Maine, with their children Ellie, played by G.T. Lawrence, and Gage, along with their cat Church, as in Winston Churchill. Sound familiar? And I'm somehow thinking these characters are average at best. I don't like them, nor do I hate them in any ways, but this is reminding me of the original so far. Ellie is watching SpongeBob on TV while Rachel is unpacking and sees a group of kids in animal masks walk by, and Ellie runs to the pet cemetery, which, like in the original, is misspelled, and runs into a neighbor of the Creeds to help take out a splinter from Ellie's hand. And both she and Rachel meet Judd Randall, played by John Lithgow, whom I've reviewed a couple of times in and he is an actor I like, but unfortunately isn't put in the greatest role of his career, and so far, I'm not seeing anything scary at all, in my opinion. Lewis works at a university hospital, gets a patient he can't heal named Victor Pascal. Name sound familiar? And he never shows up too much here as a ghost. And as in the original, he appears 5 times, which is not a great thing for this remake. In the original, Rachel had a sister who was traumatized her, but who was never named in this movie. Here, it's told it's Zelda, and she died as a teenager from a spinal, forgive me if I say this wrong, meningitis, and has traumatized Rachel as a kid. Ellie's cat Church is hit by a truck in the middle of the night, and off-screen, might I add, which was smart, and is found by Lewis and Judd, and John convinces Lewis to bury the cat, to lie to Ellie about Church is killed by instead says he ran away, and the next thing you know, he's alive, scratching Ellie and bringing a dead bird in the house, which is honestly very horrendous moments of the film. And I've lost how many times Church just hisses. Like he does it almost too fucking often. Like it's ridiculous. Judd tells Lewis about the area where Church is buried and how it brings pets and people back to life, and that very much was unoriginal after watching the first one 2 weeks ago. And Church sits on Gage in his crib, and Lewis and Rachel realize Church has to go and leaves him in the street, which is kind of cruel but sad, but hey, he was evil. And all of this sounds horrible, but it's much worse when the actions of the actors are presenting those scenes. The family throw Ellie a birthday party and play hide-and-seek with her friends until Ellie spots Church, who comes home, and Ellie rushes to Church, and here's when the twist begins. In the original, Gage dies, but here, they grab Gage, but Ellie! Oh my god, they pulled this off. Ellie dies, and should I be sad? I should, but the truth is I'm not, because I've seen the original recently, and I know what's going to happen for the rest of the movie, in my opinion. While that happens, Rachel and Gage go with Rachel's parents to Boston, and Lewis is left behind which did feel pretty realistic, very much, because after your daughter is dead, just leave the goddamn house. Judd knows what Lewis is up to, and Lewis drugs Judd with the drink, and Lewis grabs Ellie's body and buries it in the pet cemetery, where he buried Church at one point earlier in the film, and she returns later in that night, who looks pale and acts mean with a cold attitude, and I'm not convinced she's alive and acts better with anyone. The problem I'm having is the acting is not believable, in my opinion. Rachel is spooked when Gage starts having nightmares and references Pascal by name, because Gage is bringing that up. So Rachel heads home and calls Lewis and is unable to get a hold of him. And she calls Judd to see if everything is okay. And Judd spots Ellie and he gets pissed to shoot her. A pistol to shoot her, And she cuts his foot after getting encountered by Church. And Ellie mocks Judd about his wife Norma's death and stabs Judd to death, which all this is horribly acted. Just horrible. Rachel and Gage arrive at the house, and Lewis is shocked, and Rachel sees Ellie is alive, and flees upstairs with Gage, and I'm not buying the acting at this point. Rachel is attacked by Ellie using a knife and is stabbed, but Rachel manages to escape to the bathroom with Gage, and Ellie barges in, and I can't buy this kid as menacing, which is a big problem. Lewis locks Gage in the car, and Ellie knocks him out. She drags Rachel's body into the woods. Sounds like that song. And Lewis prepares to kill Ellie, but is stabbed by a resurrected Rachel, which looks terrible, and he is buried as well. He's resurrected, and he with Rachel and Ellie burned in Judd's house. And Lewis gestures Gage to unlock the car, and that ending sucked. Big time. The remake of the Pet Sematary song sounds absolutely terrible. I'm missing the Ramones version, actually. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 3.9 out of 10. The plot is like the original, but with twists, and that made me fucking pissed off, and the acting is terrible. The scene's images are horrendous, the characters are average at best, but they could have made a better movie, in my opinion. So, thank you guys for joining me for Pet Sematary, and until next time when I get to the series, which, God forbid, until then, sometimes dead is better.